Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video, I'm going to make what may just be my new favorite keto tortilla. On a pretty much weekly basis, I have viewers send recipes to me and ask if I will make a video of them. And the majority of the time, I say no. Not because I'm a jerk or anything like that, but just because very often these recipes don't turn out for me. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Plus, I've got plenty of recipe ideas that I'd like to work on that are my own. However, from time to time, I will get one that is intriguing enough that I decide I'll give it a try. And that's the case with this tortilla recipe. The reason I decided to try this recipe was, first off, it's a tortilla. And I really still feel like I'm on a quest for the ultimate keto tortilla. The second reason, though, is the simplicity of this recipe. It is insanely simple, and I found that I was pretty much unable to screw it up no matter what I did. Now, to give credit where credit is due, this recipe came from a viewer by the name of TK. Those are his initials. I can't pronounce his first name. I'm afraid if I do, I'm gonna screw it up. So it came from TK, and he originally saw it on an Israeli blog page called, I believe, Low Carb Dad. I'll link to it in the description below. It's in Hebrew. I couldn't read it, so I couldn't verify whether or not TK changed the recipe up at all or not. I also did a YouTube search and found a video from 2016 from a creator by the name of Michelle Rock, who did a microwave keto tortilla with some similar ingredients. But, you know, when you've got only a handful of ingredients, 3 dry ingredients, 2 wet ingredients, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be some overlap in terms of the recipe. So while I can't take credit for this recipe, I can take credit for about 20 different variations I tried on it, trying various substitutions and add-ins. And I'll talk about that at the end of this video when I get into sort of the anticipated questions that I think you might have. But for now, let's make this tortilla. We'll start with 1 large egg, ideally at room temperature, which we will whisk. And if you want one of these plunger whisks, I will link to it down in the description below. Next, we will use our one and only one measuring device, the tablespoon. We have 1 tablespoon of almond flour, that's about 7 grams. 1 tablespoon of whole psyllium husk, not powder, whole psyllium husk, that's 4 grams. And finally, unflavored whey protein isolate. Then we'll add our second wet ingredient, the heavy whipping cream. Also, 1 tablespoon. Whisk together. Scrape down the sides. And we'll give it 1 more whisk. Then we'll pour our batter onto a plate. This is a 12-inch plate, or about 30 centimeters. Just pour right onto the center and let it spread out on its own. If you pour it in the center, it should form a pretty good circle on its own, but you can always give it a little tilt to help it out. And from there, it's into the microwave. My microwave is like 23 years old and it's a 900 watt. So I need to do a full 90 seconds for this tortilla. If you have a newer microwave and a more powerful microwave, I would say start at 60 seconds. You can always adjust upward. So into the microwave, micro cook 90. Now you will see the tortilla start to puff up. You'll see bubbles and lumps forming. Don't let this bother you. They pretty much flatten out once it comes out of the microwave. I'll wait about 10 seconds or so just so it cools off a tiny bit to the touch before I use a spatula to release the tortilla from a plate. Once you kind of get under the edge, it goes pretty smoothly. And I just slide back and forth, give it a little rotate. And there we go, our tortilla. The bottom side is going to be a little bit moist still, so I lay it moist side up on a cooling rack for a few minutes. You are going to have a little bit of crustification left over on your plate. That's the one little cleanup side effect of this whole process. So right now I am going to steal a little technique that I saw Dennis use in Black Tie Kitchen, which is to answer in advance the questions that he anticipates you asking. So sort of future anticipated questions, or FAQ. First question, what can I substitute for the almond flour? The only thing that I found worked well as a substitution for almond flour, in particular at a 1-to-1 ratio, so I didn't have to mess with any of the other ingredients, was lupini flour. I like the Aviate brand. Now, it's going to add a little bit of an earthy flavor to the tortilla, but of all the brands of lupin or lupini flour that I've used, Aviate, it's the best. It's the least earthy. It's got the best overall carb profile that I've seen. I'll link to this on Amazon in the description below. Next question is, can I use powdered egg whites in place of the whey protein isolate? I tried this and didn't enjoy the texture. It was rubbery and it made the tortilla kind of dry. If you do it, I would say dial back on the amount of egg whites, maybe a half tablespoon. The other ingredient I subbed in instead of the whey protein isolate was Keto Chow. I tried both the taco and the chicken. Both were very tasty. Now, I will say on that, similar to the egg white, probably need to dial back the amount. I would go either 2 teaspoons or maybe just a half tablespoon. And I will include a link to Keto Chow along with a discount down in the description below if something like that interests you. Can I use psyllium husk powder instead of psyllium husk? Well, it depends. If you want your tortilla to be super duper chewy and rubbery and possibly turn purple, then yes. But I would recommend sticking with the whole psyllium husk. You talk about the speed and simplicity of this recipe. Why do I need to use a room temperature egg? Room temperature eggs mix much more easily. I did a video on this comparing room temperature eggs versus eggs right out of the fridge. So set the egg out a little bit early, or put it in a warm glass of water for a couple of minutes. Or if you really don't care about all that, go ahead, just use a fridge egg. Can I use corn extract like the one-on-one flavors, corn tortilla or cornbread? I tried this, I tried 5 drops, and it didn't really bring a lot to the party for me. You can certainly do it if you've got some on hand, but I would not run out and buy some just for the sake of this recipe. Can I add other seasonings? Yes, but sparingly. I tried some seasonings both from Flavor God and from Penzeys, and a little goes a long way in this recipe. I mean, a pinch is going to be plenty. You're going to taste it. Can I make these on a griddle instead of the microwave? Yeah, it depends. If you want to make something that is kind of like a pancake but doesn't taste very good, then yes. Oh yeah, and it won't be pliable either. Can I spray the plate so that the tortilla doesn't stick to it so much? I tried this. I tried it with avocado oil, and it didn't release any easier. So I'm going to say it could just be the plate. I don't know. Can I make chips with these tortillas? I tried making chips 3 different ways. First, in the dehydrator. That is not awesome. It's kind of dry, kind of powdery, kind of like a stale cracker. I also tried frying up the chips in oil and frying up a dehydrated chip in oil, and you can see my taste test right here. All right, this is just the fried version, and you can see not all that crisp. Not sure what to make of this texture. Next, we have one of the chips that I put in the dehydrator and then fried. It's crispier, but really more like a cracker than a tortilla chip. So far with my tortillas, I have found that the one that works absolutely the best for making chips and hard taco shells is my carnivore tortilla. Can I make these tortillas in bulk? I don't really see the point to making the tortillas in bulk because they come together so quickly. Usually for me, if I'm going to make something in bulk, it's something that has a lot of setup, it's time consuming to make. This is not. Now you could certainly make the dry ingredients in bulk, just a 1:1 ratio of the dry ingredients. And then all you got to do is scoop out 3 tablespoons and then add your wet ingredients. Just make sure when you mix your dry ingredients that you sift, y'all. Can I freeze them? Kind of the same answer that I had for making in bulk. Don't really see the point. How long will they keep in the refrigerator? Again, this recipe is really something for making tortillas on the fly. But my answer for most questions that are related to how long it will keep in the fridge is 5 to 7 days. Unless it's really acidic, which this isn't. Now, if you decide to make any sort of substitutions or add-ins for this recipe, and you find that they work out really well and you want to share them, do so. Let me know down in the comments below. Now look at this tortilla. I mean, tell me this does not look and behave like a masa tortilla. It's wonderfully pliable, sturdy. Now, if you eat it straight up, it is going to taste a little bit like psyllium husk, but we're not going to eat it straight up. So I've already put on some chorizo and some roasted hatch chilies. Put a little sprinkle of Colby Jack blend on there. Let's give it a taste. Back pre-keto, we used to make our own corn tortillas with maseca, masa flour. This is every bit as good, in my opinion. Now, you don't have the corn flavor, but really, how often do you eat a tortilla just straight up? Really, I just can't get over the fact that such a simple and fast recipe yields such an excellent tortilla. I just love how sturdy they are and how pliable they are. I guarantee you, these things would go great in enchiladas. So if you'd like to see some of my other tortilla videos, I will link to those in the end card. If you enjoyed this video, however, please click that like button. If you're not a subscriber already, tap subscribe, then hit the bell and turn on all notifications. Thanks for watching.